Accuracy note before the script. The headline-grabbing 1971 Jefferson nickel sale was the rare 1971 no-S proof, which reached $8,100 in a heritage auction recorded by PCGS. Ordinary 1971 nickels are common, with huge mintages for Philadelphia and Denver, while 1971's proofs were sold in the millions as part of proof sets. Did you know that one? 1971 Jefferson nickel sold for $8,100? That sounds impossible for a coin most people would ignore in their pocket. But it is true. The catch is that the coin was not an ordinary 1971 nickel. It was the famous 1971 no-S proof Jefferson nickel, one of the rarest modern mint mark mistakes in the entire Jefferson nickel series. And that is exactly why the 1971 nickel is such a fascinating coin to talk about. On one side, you have an everyday 5-cent coin that is usually worth almost nothing above face value. On the other side, you have a legendary variety that turned the same date into something collectors dream about. So, if you have a 1971 Jefferson nickel, the first question is not just, how much is it worth? The real question is, which 1971 nickel do I actually have? Because that one detail changes everything. A normal circulated 1971 nickel is usually just a common coin. A nice proof from San Francisco is still usually cheap. A strong, uncirculated full steps example can bring a premium. But the rare missing mint mark proof is in an entirely different universe. That is what makes this coin date so exciting. It is a year where ordinary and extraordinary sit side by side. To understand why, we have to go back to the history of the Jefferson nickel itself. The Jefferson nickel first appeared in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. The design was created by Felix Schlag, and it featured Thomas Jefferson on the front and Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia home, on the back. That core design lasted for decades, which means by 1971, the coin already had a long history behind it and was one of the most familiar coins in American life. By 1971, the United States was in an interesting coinage era. Silver had already disappeared from circulating dimes and quarters years earlier, and even the Kennedy half-dollar proof set had shifted away from 40% silver. By 1971, PCGS notes that the 1971 proof set was the first one that contained no coin struck in a precious metal alloy. That means the 1971 Jefferson nickel belongs to a period when American coins looked familiar, but the broader coinage system was changing fast behind the scenes. The regular 1971 Jefferson nickel was struck for circulation in Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia issue had a mintage of 106,884,000, while the Denver issue had a much larger mintage of 316,144,800. San Francisco struck proof nickels for collectors, and PCGS reports proof set sales of 3,220,733 for 1971. So right away, you can see why most 1971 nickels are common. There are simply too many of them. Millions upon millions were made, and that keeps prices low unless the coin is in exceptional condition or has a special variety. Now let's talk about how to identify the different versions. A regular 1971 nickel from Philadelphia will show no mint mark. A 1971 D nickel from Denver will have a D mint mark. A 1971 S proof nickel from San Francisco should have an S mint mark and a mirror-like proof finish if it came from a proof set. And then there is the famous exception, the 1971 no-S proof, which should not exist but does. That rare proof coin was struck without the S mint mark because an incomplete die was used. PCGS says these are the only coins in the entire Jefferson series to completely lack a required mint mark, and mint officials estimated that only about 1,655 examples were released in proof sets. That is why the 1971 no-S proof gets so much attention. It is not just a random error. It is a major modern U.S. coin rarity with a real story behind it. PCGS records an auction result of $8,100 for a PR69 DCM. Example sold by Heritage on May 7, 2023. Great Collections also reports past sales for the no-S proof running from around $1,210 to $7,708, depending on grade and eye appeal. So yes, if someone tells you a 1971 nickel can be worth thousands, they are not completely wrong. But they are only right if they are talking about this very specific proof rarity. And that is where a lot of people get confused. They hear about a rare 1971 nickel selling for thousands. Then they look at the ordinary, circulated nickel in their change jar and think they might be rich. Usually, they are not. Most 1971 nickels are regular business strikes or common proofs. And those coins do not sell for anywhere near that amount. The date alone is not enough. The version, condition, and surface quality matter far more than the year by itself. Let's start with the normal Philadelphia coin, the 1971 nickel with no mint mark. This is the one most people are likely to find. It was made for circulation, and with a mintage of over 106 million, it is not rare. NGC says that as of April 2026, a circulated 1971 Jefferson nickel is worth about 10 to 20 cents in general market guide terms. That already tells you the basic truth. In ordinary condition, this is not a treasure coin. It is a collector coin only in the sense that people building date sets still need an example. Still, common does not mean worthless in every case. A 1971 Philadelphia nickel can become more desirable if it is sharply struck, lustrous, and especially if it shows full steps on Monticello. Full steps is a big deal in Jefferson nickel collecting because it shows the strike was unusually strong and detailed. Coins with full steps are harder to find than ordinary pieces, and certified examples can sell for real premiums. Great Collections has sold a 1971 Philadelphia Jefferson nickel graded PCGS MS65FS, and PCGS/NGC auction data show that high-end examples can reach hundreds of. The Denver version tells a similar story, but with its own twist. The 1971 D nickel had a very large mintage too, more than 316 million according to PCGS. Most are still common, but high-grade Denver full steps coins can do surprisingly well. Great Collections reports a 1971 D Jefferson nickel PCGS MS67FS sold for $1,516.50, while PCGS also records a 1971 DMS67FS example selling for $575.75 in an earlier sale. Those are not normal raw coin prices. Those are top condition certified examples in a specialized niche of the market. Then there is the 1971 S-proof nickel. This one was made for collectors, not circulation, and came in the official proof set. Proof coins are struck differently, with specially prepared dies and polished planchets, giving them a more reflective, sharper look. But even though proofs feel more special, the regular 1971 S proof is still common because more than 3.2 million proof sets were sold. PCGS states clearly that the 1971 S proof is a common date, and that most coins from these sets trade for only $1 or $2 each. That line is important because it cuts through the hype. A lot of online videos and listings love to use the words rare, valuable, or no mint mark in misleading ways. But on a 1971 Philadelphia nickel, no mint mark is normal, not rare. On a proof nickel, no S mint mark is rare, but only if the coin is actually a proof with the right surfaces and origin. That is the difference between a 5-cent coin and a 4-figure coin. So what should you check if you have a 1971 Jefferson nickel in your hand? First, look for the mint mark. No mint mark usually means Philadelphia business strike. A D means Denver. An S means a normal San Francisco proof. If the coin looks like a proof but has no S mint mark, then you may have something worth getting authenticated immediately. Second, look at the finish. A true proof should have mirrored fields and sharper detail. Third, examine Monticello's steps on the reverse. Strong, uninterrupted steps can push value higher for collectors chasing full steps pieces. And finally, look for damage. Scratches, dull cleaning, corrosion, or heavy wear can crush value fast. The reason full steps matters so much is because Jefferson nickels are notorious for weak strikes. On many coins, the lines of the steps are soft, incomplete, or broken. That means a coin with clearly defined steps can stand out from the crowd even when the date itself is common. For collectors building top registry sets, those small details matter enormously. That is why some certified 1971 and 1971D nickels with full steps have sold for hundreds or even over $1,000, while ordinary examples remain cheap. Same date, totally different market. There is another lesson here too. Coin value lives at the intersection of rarity, demand, and condition. The ordinary 1971 nickel fails the rarity test. There are too many of them. The regular 1971 S proof is attractive, but also too common. The no S proof passes the rarity test in a big way. Full steps coins pass the condition test. Registry competition creates demand. That is why prices spread out so dramatically. A single date can range from pocket change to thousands of dollars, depending on what exactly it is. The story of the 1971 no S proof also says something deeper about coin collecting. Even in a highly controlled minting system, mistakes happen. A missing mint mark on a proof issue is not just a minor production slip. It becomes a historical event inside the series. Collectors remember those moments. They create legends around them. And when the number released is tiny, the market responds for decades. That is why this particular nickel still gets attention. It is a true snapshot of early 1970s America. It carries the classic Felix Schlag design that had already become part of everyday American life. It comes from a year when proof sets were transitioning away from precious metal content. It reflects a period when the Jefferson nickel design was stable, familiar, and deeply woven into circulation. So even when it is not expensive, it still has historical interest. For new collectors, that matters. Not every coin has to be expensive to be worth keeping. Some coins are worth collecting because they teach you how the market works. The 1971 Jefferson nickel is perfect for that. It teaches mint mark identification. It teaches the difference between business strikes and proofs. It introduces the idea of strike quality through full steps, and it warns you not to believe every high-price claim you see online without checking what version of the coin actually sold. So let's break the value picture down clearly. If your coin is a regular, circulated 1971 Philadelphia or 1971 D nickel, it is usually worth only a small premium over face value. NGC's guide places circulated 1971 nickels around 10 to 20 cents. If your coin is a normal 1971 S proof, PCGS says these coins generally trade for $1 or $2 apiece, since the proof set had sales of over 3.2 million. If your coin is an uncirculated full steps example, especially certified, the value can rise significantly. PCGS and great collections show that top-grade full steps pieces from 1971 and 1971D can reach into the hundreds, and the finest Denver pieces have sold above $1,500. And if your coin is the 1971 no S proof, that is the major rarity. PCGS records an auction record of $8,100 for a PR69 DCM example. Now let's get to the practical question people care about most. What is the real market price? If you go by eBay-style numbers, instead of dream listings, recent eBay market evidence in the search results shows a 1971 S proof selling at about $1.89, and another proof example listed at $2.30 each with sales recorded. A 1971 PDS 3-coin year set showed sales. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.